Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard. And I always say this, but I'm super excited because right now on Zoom, I've got filmmaker Parker Croft. Hey, Parker.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me.
It's going great, and it's so good to have you here because your film, As Easy as Closing Your Eyes, which you directed, you co-wrote with Aaron Golden, and you were also one of the producers. That film, which we considered a featurette, because at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival, anything from 20 to 60 minutes is a featurette. I'm just going to go and list off all the awards from Sherman Oaks Film Festival, because this is kind of like, sometimes this shit happens, you know? Let's just say, first of all, you won Best in Fest for featurette. That's our, amusingly, for the first 8 years of our existence, we refused to do a Best in Fest kind of award because we feel that genres shouldn't compete against each other. And then we learned from the Academy, someone there explained, oh, well, you can't become Oscar qualifying until you have an award like Best in Fest. Because we can't just because they pull awards from festivals to qualify for short live action and stuff. So we gave in and we decided, fine, we'll have awards for Best in Fest. And As Easy as Closing Your Eyes won.
We are thrilled and honored. But
you also picked up Best Director of a Featurette. Your film got Best Supporting Performer for Sean Marquette, Best Performance by a Cast, Best Screenplay for you and Aaron Golden, Best Cinematography for Zachary Sandberg, Best Sound Design Ian Chase, Best Production Design Kilby Rodell, and then within genres, Best Featurette Sci-Fi. And those are all grand jury awards, so I believe it's 8. Damn.
I'm unbelievably grateful and humbled.
Honestly, it was number one on everyone's ballot. I mean, I have, you might know this, but I've seen your film a lot because I watched it and then I watched it again because I show all the best ones to my wife. And then you've had an amazing festival run and, the jury talks and people are like, so that film has played 30 times already or something it was some ridiculous, it felt like it played in LA a lot. I said to my wife, you know what, let's watch this one more time. And we watched it and I'm like, that movie's so fucking good. I don't care if we're the 97th festival they play in LA. We are showing this film. I don't care if they're so over the festival run that they don't even support it. We just, because our philosophy at Sherman Oaks Film Festival is we just show the best films. We give every film its own Q&A. We're filmmakers first. And so, and then I was so lucky because I wasn't in the theater that you were screening. I was doing Q&As next door. But we wrapped up our Q&As and I snuck into the theater next door somehow. And I got to sit through the Q&A that one of my coworkers was moderating, and I got to ask questions.
That's awesome.
So I sat there and I got to ask Aaron Golden, your co-writer and co-producer, was there, and I got to ask him some of those questions that have been eating at me every viewing. But I'll say this: you all submitted it as sci-fi. It is it's my favorite kind of. I'm a big sci-fi fan. I've been. I was a kid of the 70s who grew up on Doctor Who and always just loved sci-fi that uses intelligence and creativity to make a point. And often, it's sci-fi. Good sci-fi is always an analogy for something.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of sci-fi myself. And
And your film is not only so good. By the way, one of the reasons I watched it again, I think, because I said to my wife, okay, it's got that twist. I'm going to watch it and just pay attention for the twist. And oh my God, you nailed the twist. There is jokingly, I often mention this sometime whenever I'm talking sci-fi. When I showed my daughter the Star Wars saga, within the second movie, she starts saying, why did that happen? And I'm like, you didn't miss anything. It's called lazy screenwriting. That actually didn't make sense. You're right, they're wrong, but they didn't care because they knew they could make $1 billion even if the story doesn't hold together.
Kids are sharp too. Kids catch everything. I mean, a lot of people catch a lot of stuff. So.
But kids don't even have that filter where they don't even think they just think, what did I miss? But no, she didn't miss. But As Easy as Closing Your Eyes just is just wonderfully written and just nails every note perfectly. Every time you watch it, it's better.
Uh, I'm blushing. You're being so kind. Thank you so much.
Well, I will add the other thing I say too often, which is I do run 2 film festivals, and they each get 700 to 800 submissions a year. So that's a lot of damn indie
Yeah.
films I start.
Yeah.
So when I see one this good, like you I'm just so appreciative of great films like this because they make our festival better. So
Well, it's an absolute pleasure to have had the opportunity to play there. And yeah, I'm dude. Thank you so much. It's really a wonderful thing to hear.
yeah, well, the good news is, so it's going to be available soon.
Yeah, yeah, very soon actually. We've been sort of holding off because we wanted to, make sure that it's not. It just doesn't feel great when it's like online and playing at a festival. I think that's just a different feel. Like you want it to be a special thing to see it in the theaters and to have it be a thing that you see there. So we were holding off. And now in 2 weeks, on April 8th, it's going to be playing on Film Shortage, which we're excited about because there's a lot of people that haven't had a chance to see it. And, this is a way that we can share it with them and not have to have people, pay for it and stuff. We can just sort of be like, hey, here it is, check it out. Because it's just a nice way to share it.
For sure. And I imagine the film shortage people will be able to give you a link. We can give a clickable link so people can go straight to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a link up right now where you can get notified or something. I'm
Oh,
not.
nice. All right. So they can also go to filmshortage.com and search for As Easy as Closing Your Eyes, which amusingly, like I've noticed over the last decade of running 2 film festivals that longer titles stick better.
Oh, really? Oh,
You know what I mean? Like
I see. I always get so much guff for having long titles. I love long titles,
I
but
love a long
yeah, me
title.
too, man.
It might all start with Doctor Strangelove or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, but either way,
It's one of
like
my favorite movies, dude.
it's one of mine, one of them for sure. There you go. But yeah, so that I think they should be able to remember As Easy as Closing Your Eyes, but also when they type that into film shortage, like it's the only one that's going to come up, right? So
There's not a lot of movies even remotely named that. So
breaks
yeah.
my heart when I see a great film named Rideshare because I'm like, you don't know how many ride shares have been submitted the last 5 years, but it's a lot. And yeah, the Uber driver is always the killer. What are you going to do? But
To each their own. Everybody's trying to find their way through this.
that's true. My bad for throwing shade at the people who titled their film Rideshare. But all right, so people can see As Easy as Closing Your Eyes, and it is a proof of concept for a feature, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, we kind of did things backwards actually because we wrote the feature first, and tried to. We got it optioned, and we wanted to get it made in a certain way. I'm sort of. I have a very specific idea for what that movie will feel and look like, and I wanted to have the resources to be able to make it in that way. I'm a very new director, so it's hard to get those kind of resources early on. So we were like, hey, let's take a lot of the questions that we can out of this and give people an idea of what this will feel like. Originally the idea was actually to just take a piece of the feature and make that into a short, but I feel sort of like I wanted this short to be kind of like its own piece of art in a weird way. Like I didn't like the idea of like, oh, this is just practice or something like that, where I was like, oh no, like I think this should be something that can stand on its own 2 feet and be consumed and enjoyed. So we sat down and we actually wrote a sort of a story that exists in a very different part of the same world. But it's it's a mother who's dealing with late stage Amiston addiction, and the feature is a very different story with a person dealing with a very different scenario. And so that kind of for me was an interesting way to explore a different kind of like side of the idea and be like, oh, what is that? What are some ways that this could be explored? And then yeah, we submitted it. We got really lucky on our festival run to have a nice, a bit of exposure there. And yeah, right now we're trying to put together the feature as quickly as possible. We have some really great talent that's helping us put it together, and we're excited. Our hope is to start shooting it next year.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. And I think all your instincts were excellent. You probably don't need me to say it because you made the right choice, obviously. But yeah, if you had just pulled 15 pages from the feature and just shot it, like it wouldn't have been a complete story like you did. And it wouldn't have been it wouldn't have shown everyone what this team can do. So I think what you did is way better.
I appreciate that. It certainly was a bigger bite to take, but I'm really proud of the film, and I'm really happy that we did it, and I enjoy watching it still. So,
and before I dive into your personal history, I'll add that you also made some very cool PSAs because because they're that was a funny one. I forget at what point. I think it was Aaron just said like we also have these PSAs if you want to check them out like for online. And when I saw them and they were like a flat minute, right? And it was like shot just like a regular PSA. So I was like, man, we could put these in your block.
Oh, did you put them in the blog?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome.
What we started, and then I believe Aaron said because one of the PSAs, the one with fire, sort of gave something away. He felt so we opened the block with your first PSA. I think the one outside with the balloon.
Yeah.
And then we showed 3 shorts, and then we showed As Easy as Closing Your Eyes, and then at the end credits of As Easy as Closing Your Eyes came the other PSA.
That's crazy. That's awesome.
And the hilarious part of that is it made people think the drug is real. It made people think that that's how convincing your PSAs were. Like literally, like our moderator, who is taking my place running your Q&A afterwards told me, I haven't heard of this drug. And I was like, they made it up.
Yeah.
And literally the PSAs convinced her it was real.
That's high praise. Yeah. I'm so thrilled that the PSAs got to get played because one of the ideas I'm big into sort of an immersive way to tell the story, and I think that one of the things that I'm really looking forward to in the actual shooting of the feature and in the marketing of the feature is similarly that sort of subversive style of sneaking little Easter eggs here and there throughout the narrative. But yeah, we shot those PSAs before we shot the short, actually. We were like, I wanted to just shoot something because I was like, dude, I'm going out of my mind here. I need to shoot something from this. I know we can do something cool here, but I didn't have any resources to shoot anything. It was just like, we got nothing here. So I was like, hey, I know we can shoot something that's kind of like this sort of, I don't know, corny isn't the right word, but like very like stock, like feels like it belongs in a more corporate environment, piece that sort of hints at a larger narrative. And so, those we put those out there, and people dig them. That's crazy. I've never seen them in a theater. I wonder how I'm sure they played great.
I'm sure. I didn't see the first because I missed the beginning of the block, but I saw that second one, and wow, I can't believe. Honestly, I was working on the assumption that you shot them at the same time because the production value is so good in those PSAs.
Oh, thank you.
You even have fire indoors at the end of that one. I mean, I know it's probably not real fire, but it looked damn good to me. And
Yeah, it was half and half. We actually did light a fire in
yeah,
somebody's
yeah.
house, which was a crazy
It
thing.
looked beautiful on a
Really
60-foot screen,
graphic.
I got to tell you. It looked fantastic. And
Appreciate it.
the nice thing is we have a great deal with our DCP consultants. So like, the festival when we said, "Hey, can we put them in the theater?" I'm like, "By the way, like it'll only cost us $5 to make DCP. So we just you know what I mean? Like we weren't going to say to you, "We'd like to do this favor for you, but you've got to make a DCP for us." It was $5. It was like, how could we not do it? It was so fun.
Oh, that's so awesome, man. That's so great.
Excellent. All right, well, all this being said, what I know about you is that you and Aaron wrote a really great script and that you've directed three things. I'll count the PSAs as separate, like three things that I thought were just really well directed. So, and you don't look, wow, I'm not going to judge you by your age, but you're not full of gray hairs like me. So when did you first get into,
I am bald like you.
nice. There you go.
Right there, dude.
Are we not? Well, we just have
Bald is beautiful, baby.
we have a lot of testosterone is the thing.
Yeah, yeah.
We really do. Yeah, there you go. Well, there we go. Two bald men chatting.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, when did you first get the bug? Were you always a creative kid and a writer first, or did you get really into film and then, got into the idea of directing?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Vermont and didn't have a huge amount of access to stuff because it was, started in the 80s and then became the 90s. And I was late 80s kid. But I loved movies as a kid. Like, I just thought movies were dope. But the idea of making a movie was like the idea of, like, I don't know, going to outer space or something. It's like, that's way over there.
Vermont is pretty well removed from Hollywood, I would say.
Very, very well removed, very well removed. But like, there was like, you could act in community theater and stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. Like, I'll do this. This is as close to movies as I'm ever going to get. And then in high school, no, maybe a little bit before high school, I started getting like a couple like scholarships to things. I got scholarship to this program in Colorado called Perry Mansfield. And they were teaching playwriting and acting and stuff. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Right. So you were like doing drama at school and writing for yourself as well, or?
No, I was like auditioning for school plays and like not getting any parts. I was just a guy who like.
Really? And then you got into that program.
Yeah. Well, I was a tenacious little guy. And I got in. I did a little bit of like youth theater where I was like, for whatever reason, I didn't like school plays and stuff. They didn't really care for me, but like I did do one professional play when I was very young. I did Waiting for Godot. I played the boy in Waiting for Godot, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And then after high school, I was like, I don't know what's next, but I think I want to just try conservatory. I want to just figure this out. So I went to a bunch of conservatories in New York, and just was like very, very gung ho with the acting education. I think I started working in some small plays in New York and doing some small indie movies and student films, just like anything that would have me. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And then I moved to LA. I did a movie in Chicago. That's where I met Aaron Golden. He was a college kid in Chicago, and I flew out from New York to do this movie in Chicago. And I met Chris Blim there, and who was also involved in the movie As Easy as Closing Your Eyes. And then I went out to LA and was like, all right, I'm going to figure this out. And it was kind of slow for a while. I mean, it was, there's just a lot of downtime between stuff. I was starting to like work a little bit in tiny little bit parts on TV shows and tiny little movie things. But there's like a lot of downtime where you're just like, dude, what am I doing right now? So I started like, just like kind of writing, like, I don't know, like SNL type sketches and stuff where I was just like, I didn't know anything. I was just like, I want to make stuff here. And that slowly sort of just didn't really turn into anything. I was just like, I couldn't really understand like the YouTube video world. I just like, it didn't make sense to me. And I get that it's like very simple for a lot of people, but I was just like, I don't understand this, like what I'm supposed to do here. And so then I linked up with this guy who was a director who cast me in this pilot, and I did the pilot, and the pilot didn't like do very well. But he was like, "Hey, like we're vibing. Would you ever want to make like an indie film?" And I was like, "Dude, more than anything, like this would be the coolest thing in the world for me." It's so we were starting to write it, and I was like, "Hey, I've done some like stuff with my buddy Aaron Golden. Like, could he come on and help us write this?" And the director Conrad Jackson was like, "Sure, like, why not?" So the three of us wrote this film and shot it, and it was my first like taste of independent cinema, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is like amazing." I didn't know you could kind of like do it yourself at all, in any way. And then after that, I tried to write some like bigger scripts, some like bigger budget scripts. And I spent years writing scripts that were like out of reach, basically.
So while you were acting, you started writing sketches and then started writing screenplays, and
Yeah.
you were right. So you were adding that really to your repertoire or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then a while ago, I don't know exactly how long ago, but maybe like 6 years ago, I was like, dude, like acting is just not bringing me joy anymore. And so I was like, I really think I just want to like, I've always talked about like learning about what directing is, but like I've always sort of imagined this was something I would do like after I was a successful actor or something. And then like,
Yeah, go the Kevin Costner route.
yeah, I was like, oh, like I'll be a successful actor, and then I'll like start figuring out how to direct or whatever. And I was just like, I don't know, this like I just can't keep doing this acting stuff. It's not making me happy right now. And so I just finished up doing whatever work I was doing as an actor at the time, and I was like, I'd married my wife, and instead of going on a honeymoon, we decided to start a production company. Out of like, we didn't know anything. We were just like, whatever, like let's buy some gear and like form an LLC. And so we kind of took that leap together, and then I was like, I guess I got to figure out how to use this camera stuff. So I started like cutting my teeth, shooting like music videos and like kind of like not so great like lifestyle videos sometimes to like get a little bit of coin, or like some commercials or stuff, just to like kind of figure out how to do it and kind of get the wheels spinning. And then I was like, dude, like cool. I kind of figured it out a little bit. And then I shot my first narrative short called Suncatcher. And it was this piece that sort of like poetic narrative piece based off a Rumi poem that it's like very short film. I don't know, it's like not even maybe like 10 minutes or something. And then we submitted that, and it kind of like some people kind of saw it, and I was like, oh, like this isn't like the worst thing in the world. Like maybe we could try again and do it better. And at that point, the feature for Late Radiance had been optioned, and we were like trying to get this made. And I was like having like all this like imposter syndrome stuff where I was like, oh my God, like if this movie gets made, like I don't even know how to do anything. Like, what am I going to do? And then we made the short As Easy as Closing Your Eyes. And then I've been just kind of making narrative stuff I've been kind of going pretty much the entire time since then. So now we're here, and I just finished making. I figured out I did an animated film. Never done that before. And before that, I did my first like kind of black comedy, I would say. And those are the last two narratives that I did.
Interesting. So, man, the direction is so good in As Easy as Closing Your Eyes.
Thank you.
So, were you one of those actors who, when you were on sets, were you paying attention to? Were you treating it like film school almost? Or were you like, because your love affair with acting was waning anyway while you were doing it. So, were you like paying attention and thinking, this
Yeah,
is how
yeah.
I would direct it?
I definitely remember there's a couple moments where I was like, I did a couple like HBO's things where I was like I had this tiny part on this HBO show called Big Little Lies. And I was like basically an extra in this thing. But because I wasn't an extra, I was like, had a name or whatever. I was just like always around for like, I don't know, a while, more than a week, maybe 2 weeks. I can't really remember. But Jean-Marc Vallée, who's like, I guess he's dead now, unfortunately. But he was an incredible director. And I remember seeing his work before then, like Dallas Buyers and all these like great. He's just fantastic. And I just remember being like, I want that job. That guy seems like it seems great over there. And I think that, there's all kinds of directors that, come from different places. I do think that one of the things that maybe helps me a little bit as a director is that I kind of specialized in a few different things that I think are important pieces. Like I went to editing school, and I think that editing is a really important part of, finding your own tastes in terms of the edit. And then, I really, really studied cinematography for years and years. And I'm not like some incredible cinematographer, but I really like know my tastes in terms of cinematography. So I'm able to like communicate sort of preferences and styles there. And then I think coming from like an acting background gives you an ability to communicate with actors in a way that's at least unique, because you kind of have a shared language that you're able to sort of tap into there. So I don't know. I just sort of like happened into these like things that I didn't really think I didn't know were gonna add up into, hey, these tools can are helpful in direction. I just sort of picked them up along the way because I was like, I don't know, this seems like it's a good thing. And then, in a weird like twist of fate, they added up to be this thing that's helpful. But yeah, I don't know it's all been very like, sort of, I don't know.
Maybe the word is kismet. It's fallen
Sure.
together nicely, right? Yeah. But I mean, it just shows that if your interests are true, like I bet, especially because you responded so well to that first indie you were a part of.
Yeah.
And so that tells me that like you appreciating what goes on. And there's like two types of people, right? There's the people who get on an indie set and they're like, whoa, no. Where's the luxury? Where's the food? And then there's the people who are like, wow, like look at the level of artistry that's getting done, with less. And so it sounds like you responded to that. And you also, what can I say? Studying cinematography on your own, studying editing on, taking classes and stuff. It doesn't mean you do those things, but it means not only can you communicate with your cinematographer and with your editor, but you respect them, right? Because there's nothing like a director who like, I could shoot this if I wanted. Like anyone who's tried to shoot knows that
It's a challenge. Yeah.
you got to respect these people. And so understanding what their job is probably makes you a better director.
I mean, yeah, I think you got to respect the people that you collaborate with, whether you're a good director or a bad director, honestly. Just kind of don't be a dickhead is a good rule of thumb.
I think the definition of bad director is someone who doesn't appreciate, well, I guess my definition is someone who doesn't appreciate the talent of those around them, right? Because there are times when you've got to say, this person's letting me down, and you either fire him or you do it for him. but and that will happen on an indie set, I'm sure. But
I mean, there's always going to be places where there are shortfalls, and some of those are things that make things really interesting, and some of those things are things that you just kind of gotta work around. And I mean, like in terms of as easy as closing your eyes, for example, like we had so many problems that we had to sort of navigate and overcome. And I think that those eccentricities often give a film a lot of its flavor in a weird way. And some of them are just things where you're just like, oh fuck, I wish I wish that didn't happen, but all right.
well, and it was an ambitious, it's, I don't know how, well, I guess I remember if I rewatched the Q&A from the festival, I'm sure someone asked how long you shot and all that. But I mean, it's a very expansive universe you've got in this nearly 22-minute film. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, I mean, we shot
multiple
for
locations, different actors, different scenes, different looks.
yeah. I mean, we shot with yeah, I mean, shooting with kids, shooting with VFX. These are things that just require a huge amount of support and forethought. If you're gonna shoot a SAG movie with a kid, you have to. I mean, it means you have to have teachers present, and the schedule is really tight, and there's all these things, and I love the scrappiness of an independent film, but there are certain things where I'm just never gonna I'm never gonna allow anything to happen where people are in danger or their well-being is in
That's
question.
true. And you shot in roads and stuff. Obviously, you were all permitted and safe. But yeah, it is people who want to do guerrilla style. Like you can get in trouble fast if you're not in a safe location.
Yeah, someone could get hurt, and then that's like I don't care how good the movie is. If somebody's not okay afterwards, it's not a fair trade.
Well, it's this amount of forethought is surely why the script came out as well as it did, and then why the film came out this well. Because really, if you plan it enough, you can do anything.
Yeah, I mean, we planned it. We planned it within an inch of its life. That's for sure. And I think that kind of goes without saying. In almost every production, at a certain point, you say, "Oh my God!" There's enough that's going to go wrong that there's enough question marks that are going to happen where you don't want to add more. So yeah, I'm a big planner. I would say that's one of my things.
Well, that's the producer in you too. Right? The producer plans and the director says to the producer, "Why are you holding me back?" But
yeah, I don't know. We luckily had a pretty supportive producerial unit for this one. And I've worked on movies that had slimmer and bigger, and a lot of people were wearing a couple hats on this, so it was very nice to feel like when something went wrong that there were a lot of ideas being thrown out there on how to fix it.
Yeah. By the way, I mean, not to draw away, but your lead, Laura Coover, who also is listed as a producer, she submitted another film to us.
Oh, did she? Oh, that's awesome.
She produced and is the lead in a sci-fi film that she sent.
I'm not surprised. She is an incredibly hardworking, busy artist, and I'm sure it's an incredible film.
Yeah, she's fantastic, and she's fantastic in your film. I mean,
oh well, yeah. I mean, she's
obviously
that's why we cast her.
you loaded on her, right? Like that story's thrown onto her shoulders for a good 2/3 of the film, if not more. Oh my God!
Yeah, no, she carries a lot of that. I mean, she's the lead of the film, so she does a great job. I couldn't have been. I mean, we saw a lot of people for that role. I think we saw maybe 2,000 people for that role or something. I don't know, a lot.
Wow! So you were watching. So the casting process, you were just watching tons of audition tapes, or we call them tapes, but
no. We saw an unbelievable amount of tapes for Kieran, for Lila, we I cast a pretty broad net. I think that one of the benefits to that is you allow yourself to be surprised by what you're going to find. You know, it's like I don't know what Lila is necessarily. I had a vision in my mind, and then you sort of throw that away and you say, all right, now let's find who this person actually is. And we saw a lot of people, and her tape is very, very good.
Yeah, well, excellent. All right, so it sounds like the whole process was focused but also rewarding. It sounds like you this was also a group of friends making a film, right? Like, I mean, sounds like there was some long-term relationships behind it.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I would say I'm maybe 15-year long relationships with many of the people on this movie.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Chris Blim and Aaron Golden are two guys that I met on that first film in Chicago I was talking about, and they're my brothers. They're like I would walk through fire for those guys. I mean, they're an unbelievable talent. And then one of the producers on that film, Nolan Gould, who was you may recognize from the PSAs, is a guy that I wrote the two films that followed up As Easy as Closing Your Eyes with, and he's starring in one of them, and produced both of them, but he's not starring in the second one, the animated one.
Oh,
But yeah,
cool.
he just started a production company called Adversary, and yeah, we've been collaborating at quite a pace. But yeah, I love working with my friends. I got a lot of my friends are in filmmaking, so it's a nice overlap there.
And did everybody land in the LA area or?
Yeah, I mean, I see Sean and Nolan like, I don't know, 3-4 days a week. I don't know. I see these guys all the time. Like we're always hanging. They're maybe a 2-minute walk from my house. Aaron's about a 5-minute walk from my house. Chris lives in Silver Lake. Like everyone's pretty close.
That's good times. That's good times. That's not to pull out the violins, but my besties in Vancouver. You know, it's not cool to have to get on a plane to
Oh, it
see your
sucks, man. It
your
sucks.
the person you'd like to just hang out with anytime.
It's although the flight to Vancouver isn't too bad, it's still way further than down the street.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, and the real problem is every time you're there, you don't want to leave because
Oh my God, it's
Vancouver's
so beautiful.
so beautiful. But all right, so when you finished when you wrapped it up, I believe you wrapped it up like close to more than a year ago or so,
Yeah.
because
Wow.
we might have been your last. I don't know if we were last. We were near the end of your festival run.
Yeah, I
So
would say so.
so
Yeah.
when did you start the festival run?
I think LA Shorts was our first film festival. I think we premiered there. So I don't know when that is, June maybe. Um, I don't know. One of those times. But yeah, I mean, we had a yeah, it was a long and wonderful festival circuit. I love the film festival. I love seeing films on film festival. I love meeting people on film festival. We actually met the our director of animation for the film we just did at a film festival in LA, like for the As Easy as Closing Your Eyes, which is like sort of the dream scenario where you're like at a festival and you find an artist that you connect with and you get to collaborate with them for your next movie or whatever. You're like, oh, this is so dope.
That's really what you want. Yeah, that's what you want to have happen. In fact, every time I just got an email yesterday that two people who met at our December festival are shooting this week together.
Oh, that's awesome. See, that's like what it's actually about, in my opinion, is like, hey, like let's all marinate in these sort of incredible ideas and be inspired by each other and all that sort of whatever.
Yeah,
Mush.
honestly, I think that's one of the reasons. I mean, our festival was founded by people who really care about indie film, and that's why we. I mean, I know it sounds goofy. Like we don't have bad films in the festival. Like we want everyone who meets at our festivals to know that the peers they're meeting are talented.
Yeah.
Because I can remember, I mean, I'm old, so I was like at film festivals in the 90s, and you'd go and you'd meet people at the opening night party or something, and you'd be like, man, I'm gonna go watch their film. They were so cool. I liked hanging out with them. Maybe we'll write something together. And then you see their film and it's like terrible.
You're like, oh no,
You're
yeah,
like, oh
yeah.
man, nice person, bad movie. I guess I'm gonna lose their number. You know, like what are you gonna do with that? Like it's always it used to be a dicey thing, but I mean we try to.
There's a lot of different. It takes all kinds out there, that's for sure. Yeah, it is always refreshing when you get out of a short film block and you're like, oh my God, this whole block was firing on all cylinders. It's like no stinkers. It's nice.
It is nice, and it should happen. Should happen all the time. Excellent. Well, so our the newer stuff. Well, the newer stuff, or is it? I mean, you're just going to follow the thing like the animated one and the stuff you're mentioning. Is it? Are you going to be hitting the festival circuit with them?
Yeah, yeah. So we're doing some VFX for the Black Comedy right now, which is another long title. It's called The Liars of Black Mountain Road. And then we're gonna try and submit that, start up the festival circuit on May 11th. I think we're gonna sort of have them together, one animated, one live action, and do the festival circuit with both of those together. That animated is a film called Hell, and it's sort of, well, I don't want to give too much away, but I'm very, very excited about it. It turned out far better than I sort of expected it to. Being someone who has literally no idea how animation works, I was like, oh, whoa, this is crazy. I mean, one of the great things about working with, an animation director and animators is like, when you're someone who kind of has a feeling of what you want it to look like, but very low abilities in terms of animation, you can kind of see this, and then all of a sudden this thing comes to life, and you're like, oh my God, like this is awesome. So yeah, I'm really excited to sort of take those out on the festival circuit and see what happens next. I mean, my hope is to start heading into the feature world before too long.
Right, and and actually, as easy as closing your eyes. So the feature is a different title.
Yeah, the feature's called Late Radiance.
Right, Late Radiance. Right, so you're hoping to get that one done, and then more features, because I know it's funny. Like shorts are so good. Like it is, but there's less you can do with them. So
yeah. I mean, there's just I think that shorts are something that I will always do in my life. I think that they're something that I can see myself returning to regularly. But I've literally never directed a feature film, so like I don't want to not have that experience as well and see what that's like. I think that it's probably harder to have a career just doing shorts. I don't know of anyone that's just the shorts guy, myself, but
I would assume you'd have to be a trust fund baby, because
I would assume so. Yeah,
the return on shorts. I have tried so many different ways to find ways for people to actually reap what they sowed into those shorts, and
it's hard.
I can tell you this: the public wants them.
Grand.
The industry will never understand how much the public would respond to shorts, and everyone who tries it fails to curate it.
Yeah.
But there was a time. Well, I'll tell you when we're not recording.
Okay.
But I can promise you that when you have something out there on a platform that people are on, they will start watching an anthology of shorts. They really will. Like it doesn't just have to be all tied together, like Black Mirror or
sure.
Like it.
I think there's a lot of. I mean, I see amazing shorts all the time, and it's definitely a thing where I talk to my family. I'm like, "What's the last short you've seen?" And they're like, "What? What do you?" I've seen one short. I've seen your short. Like, I don't watch shorts. It's not something that's like in the mainstream world.
It's not. I have had more than once, actually like 3 or 4 times, parents of a filmmaker at the festival will sit through their kid's block, and of course their kid is 20 to 30.
Yeah, yeah,
But so and then like out in the lobby afterwards, they'll come up to me and say, all those films are I like those films more than anything I've seen in the theaters lately, like from Hollywood. Like are there this many good shorts? I'm like, all of our blocks are great shorts. We've like we'll have about 75 films per festival, and I think it's about 10 features and 65 shorts.
yeah.
And that's honestly the ratio is that way because we only show good stuff, and honestly it's really hard to make a great feature.
How many
So,
features are you getting submit? I mean, I guess this is sort of off topic, but
I'm not happy to tell you. If I did, I think the last one it was about 130 features, and I think
eight were
official
selected.
selections.
Yeah.
The ratio is almost, and then we got about 600 shorts and showed 60. So it's like 1 in 10 shorts are great, and we're like 1 in 20 features are great. It's kind of my math.
Yeah. I mean, the bar is pretty high on it. If you're going to hold someone for 90 minutes, it's like it's a tricky. You don't get a lot of missteps there.
That's where, yeah, exactly. But really, it's about the script at that point.
Yeah,
I think if you got the script right, you're in much better shape. Whereas, like we'll have a short, and if it's especially one of the reasons why we have a separate category called featurette is because a 27-minute film and an 8-minute film are such different beasts. I mean, in 8 minutes, if you have one good idea, you're fine.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's kind of a one idea kind of thing often when you're dealing with that 5-minute range where you're like, okay, this is a moment here.
Yeah. You barely need 3 acts. You can get in, make them laugh, make them cry, make them scared, whatever, and get out. And everyone's like, that was great.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah. And if but it's a much harder challenge, I think, to hold your audience's attention and keep them engaged for, well, nowadays you can go under 90 minutes, but back in the day, I think so. Yeah. Well, I think streaming has changed that.
Right. There's like hour and 12-minute features now.
Yeah. And it's like, and people don't care. Actually, the worst thing is when people are like, oh, I'm so glad it's shorter.
Yeah. I love a long movie. I'm a long movie, total nerd for long movies. That's often why I watch movies.
Me too. I like them long. And actually, every time I see a slow paced film, especially if it's a submission, and I'm engaged the whole time, I admit, I'm just thank you for proving to me that I don't have a short attention span. It's about quality that you don't have to have a fast paced film to keep people's attention. You just have to have ideas and performances that grab us. Yeah. And then you can just take me on a long meditative journey. It's fine.
Well, I have to say, I love all the things you're saying, man. It's music to my ears.
Well, hey, we're Strangelove fans. Of course, we're going to agree.
Straight up, right? That's the first clue. You like Dr. Strangelove, you're going to like some weird stuff.
That's the first clue. Well, we're not going to do a second podcast where you answer those 4 questions, but I might as well, because Parker has to run, so we're not going to do a 4 questions episode like most people on here. But do you want to name some favorites besides Strangelove?
Oh, besides Dr. Strangelove? Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. When I sort of think about favorite movies or whatever, it's very hard for me. How on, what is that app called?
Letterbox.
So you know how on Letterbox?
I can't use it myself, but yeah. People.
You only get
people
4 movies to be your favorite 4 movies or whatever, and I'm like, oh God, this is so brutal. Movies are colors, they're flavors. It's I don't have a favorite flavor. I don't have a favorite color. It's whatever. But I'll tell you the last movie that I saw that absolutely blew my socks off, where I was this is pushing the medium forward in a way that's transformative to me, was I watched Anora in theaters, and I was and it's I get it. It's so refreshing when the whole world agrees on something, and it's oftentimes there is that contrarian thing where I'm why does everyone love this movie, or why is not everyone freaking out about this movie? But like, for whatever reason, that movie to me, it's like one of the movies where I was like, this is one of the greatest films I've seen in years. And an absolute masterwork. And then there's movies like The Father with Anthony Hopkins that like I talk to people about The Father and everyone's like, what movie? Like, oh, I didn't see this movie at all. And I'm like, this movie is so good and nobody talked about it. It's an unbelievably powerful look at a story from a really unexpected angle of attack. And let's see, what are some other movies that I just see like all the time? I saw Beautiful, Javier Bardem's Beautiful. I like love that movie. I
Well, here,
love.
I was gonna, is there any film? And the answer just might be no. But is there any film that was inspiring for the style of, or was
Oh,
inspirations for As
yeah.
Easy as Closing Your Eyes?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are like a lot of like sci-fi, sort of near sci-fi light style films that I think, oh, like I like how you kind of handled this. You know, I wouldn't say that like, I mean, there's sort of pieces of different things where it's like, yes, like if you're a sci-fi nerd, you saw Her and you're like, okay, like this is a story set in the like blah blah blah, obviously Eternal Sunshine, like incredible like reference for, people that love, concepts of, you know, perception in a sci-fi world and like have that sort of like plain sci-fi-ness to it where it's like it's here, it's tactical, it's not like floating cars and like
Yeah, you don't
um
need a space battle for it to be
yeah,
sci-fi.
exactly. I think that like in terms of like Children of Men, although much higher, is someone that I really really inspired by. I love Chivo's Wandering Eye. I love the way that sort of sci-fi is something that's in the world that isn't the thing that's happening to the world in a weird way. And I get that that's not like a great example because it literally is like a crisis that's happening, but a lot of the stuff that you see in Children of Men is sort of almost like inconsequential to the main thing that's happening there. It's like, I don't know, there's like a weird video game over here and like there's a weird broken billboard over there.
I have to interrupt and
Yeah.
share that you nailed it. One of the in my top three, like my top three was kind of set when I was like 22 years old, right? But Children of Men is the film that has pushed its way in.
Oh yeah.
Like for me, Children of Men. When you said what you said about Honora, I thought to myself, because I haven't seen it yet, I said to
Oh
myself, the last time I saw a film that struck me that way was Children of Men.
yeah, yeah,
I was
yeah.
just
Children
like
of Men
this.
is
I was like, this is a masterpiece. This is perfect. This is amazing. Loved everything about it.
yeah,
Everything.
I think that movie is just magnificent. And I there is sort of like a weird thing where like a lot of sci-fi, I've been seeing a lot of sci-fi right now that has this sort of muted thing going on that we're definitely exploring in As Easy as Closing Your Eyes. But a lot of the muted sci-fi elements are also very clean, like in Her. And I think one of the things that I really like about Children of Men and things that I would like to incorporate in sci-fi work that I do in the future, if I'm lucky enough to get to tell another sci-fi movie story or whatever, is the sort of dirtiness and the mundanity of that, where it's like, when you picture a lot of sci-fi movies, it's like, okay, like, and now it's sort of like an Apple store. Everything is like glowing and like clean, and there's no buttons or anything. And it's like, okay, like, that's cool, but that's like when I look around my living room, like that's not my life. My life has like a pile of papers that I haven't dealt with over there and a coffee ring over here. And it's like, I can't imagine being part of a world that is that antiseptic and feeling like I live in it. And so, yeah, that's something that I really like to sort of incorporate in sci-fi is sort of this like very mundane, lived in, sort of arbitrarily like I don't know. You get the idea. I'm not.
I get what you're saying, and obviously I agree 100%. And I mean, I think we've already learned, right, from the fact that all the sci-fi of the 60s and 70s that was really groundbreaking, you know, we now live 20 years later, 4 years later than 2001, and like, look what the world looks like. It's very clear. There's never, I think the term is retrofuturism for portraying a future that has that sterile, the retro look of the future. Because it's really clear that no matter how AI'd our butts get, and if our cars are driving themselves, we're going to live in a society that looks like this for a good couple hundred years. Like it's there's no reason. There's no reason. Even if you could control every light switch in your house with your brain, your house is still going to look like this.
Oh, totally. I have an iPhone. An iPhone looks like a future thing, but mine is broken. Like, mine has cracks all over it. And it's like, that's the sort of texture that I think is really rich in a world of future things, where it's like, where's the flying car that has a muffler that's like drifting off the side? You know, like, because that's when I look outside in LA, like everybody's like, shit is all banged up, and like, because you're living in it. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. We know now. We know the future is going to be it'll be different, but it's going to be subtle. Yeah. So that is another. Yeah. God. Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, Children of Men, we don't even know what year it's supposed to take place. We just know it's the future, and well, I can't even get started on the subject of what happens when society crumbles, because.
That's a whole other episode.
Dear Lord. All right, well, hey, I think, do you all have a website or social media devoted to As Easy as Closing Your Eyes that people should follow?
Yeah. There's an Instagram at As Easy as Closing Your Eyes, and there's a website which is Paper Horse Pictures, and you can find As Easy as Closing Your Eyes on there. It's / As Easy as Closing Your Eyes, but you can just go to paperhorsepictures.com and you'll see it there.
Excellent. Well, we will make sure to make those two our clickable links. Those will be clickable links in the show notes, as well as the link to Film Shortage.
Awesome. And dude, Jeff, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to have this lively discussion. I hope I didn't get too excited at the end and dominate.
Are you kidding? This has been fun. And I appreciate that you've got to go, because honestly, as you can tell, like, I could probably go for another hour or two and then like not get anything done today.
I would love that.
Let me do my closeout. So first I'm going to thank Parker Croft. Thank you for hopping onto Zoom. I didn't even do that. I think I forgot to do the Zoom disclaimer in the beginning because sometimes with the micro delay inside Zoom, it'll sound like we're talking over each other, but I swear we didn't. But, I'm going to thank everyone for listening to the Discovery Indie Film podcast. If you want to learn more about it, go to discoveryindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFWins. If you want to interact with me, it's got to be Blue Sky. So you can go to you could go to DIFWins on Blue Sky, because I've changed my life and I'm only on Blue Sky now. And it's nice. It's nice to have no social media in my life. But so that's discoveryindiefilm.com. I'm about to mention the 2 film festivals that we run, but I'm finally adding this to the podcast spiel at the end, which is it is a nonprofit. We're discoverindiefilm.org, the Discover Indie Film Foundation website, and it runs 2 film festivals in the Los Angeles area. Both are ranked in the top 100 worldwide out of 14,000 festivals, as best reviewed by Film Freeway. That's best reviewed by filmmakers. So if you're interested in indie film, go to the discoverindiefilm.org website. There's cool shit there, and I'm proudly, and now I'll name the festival. So As Easy as Closing Your Eyes got all them awards at the Sherman Oaks Film Festival in 2024. That was year 9. This year it has year 10, so we got a lot of fun stuff planned. You can go to ShermanOaksFF.com to learn more, and it's at ShermanOaksFF on social media. Its sister festival is Film Invasion Los Angeles. Same team, same philosophy, just different name. We hold that one every June. and this year's the 10th. So you can learn more at filminvasionla.com, and it's at filminvasionla on social media. And something cool popped up on the Film Invasion LA website last week, which is we have some partners, some people I've known for a while, and we are starting Film Invasion Lima, Peru next year.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, there's been so many false starts. Dude wanted to do Film Invasion London. Someone else was thinking Vancouver. I think we even had Grand Rapids for a minute. Like, a lot of people were talking on it. I was always like, if I know you and trust you, you can use the name and we're good.
Are you going to go down to Peru?
I've got a Google flight tracker. I am going.
Sweet.
I'm going. And it actually, that festival was some filmmakers from Peru were at Sherman Oaks Film Festival in December. And at the closing mixer, they were like, God, we wish we had a community like this in Lima, because Lima's this great artistic city, but there's not really a indie film scene. And I said, well, if you're interested, I would trust you to run Film Invasion Lima.
Yeah.
And they got it. Dude, I don't even want to tell you how it's a beautiful theater in the old Spanish Quarter. And it's like costs like a third of what this theater in LA costs.
I want to go to Peru, dude. That sounds.
Oh my God, it's gonna be. The worst thing is, like, I have friends now who've been there. Who are like, oh, you got to go for a week before the food's so good. This, that. I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know how much time. It depends if my wife joins me or not.
Yeah.
But yeah, Lima, Peru. We're expanding. So anyway, very happy to share that. All right, Parker, this was tons of fun.
A pleasure. Thank you so much for having me again, Jeff.
Hey, this was great for me because I'm completely guilty of having FOMO when I love a film and I don't really get to meet the people. You know, as our festivals have grown, I used to do every Q&A. Now I do like half. And actually at Film Invasion LA in June, we're on 3 screens at once, so I'm only going to do a third of them. So I'm not even going to. If it weren't for this podcast, I wouldn't get a conversation with 2/3 of the filmmakers. So hopefully everyone signs up for this shit.
Well, I hope I get to see you again before too long, and good luck with Film Invasion Peru and all the wonderful things in your future, man. Because it's awesome, and thank you for letting us be part of it.
Yeah, thank you, and congrats on the great work, and keep going. Sounds like you are. I don't have to say it. You have moving forward.
Moving forward, baby. I'll
All
talk
right.
to you soon, Jeff. Bye.
Thank you, everyone, for listening.
Yeah, bye.